Hello student, welcome all of you in the next lecture of the topic solid crystal. So dear student, in the last lecture we have seen types of crystalline solid. On the basis of the particles, that means atoms, ions or molecules or a metal form a crystal structure, the crystalline solids are classified into ionic crystal, covalent crystal, molecular crystal and the metallic crystal. Means in the ionic crystal, the constituent particles of that crystal structure are charged ions, and that charged ions comes together with the help of electrostatic force of attraction form a ionic crystal or ionic solid. In case of a covalent crystal, the constituent particles of that crystal structures are atoms. In case of a molecular crystal, the constituent particles of the crystal structures are molecules like HCl, H2, Cl2, O2, CH4, CO2, and the bond present in between molecules are a covalent bond. But when the molecule comes together, then in a molecular crystal, the molecule comes together with a weak intermolecular force of interaction, or they may be dipole-dipole or a hydrogen bonding or a dipole-induced dipole interaction. And in a metallic crystal, a metal, they are having a positively charged cation surrounded by delocalized electrons, and therefore due to the electrons, as we know, the metal, they are a conductor of electricity and heat. They shows the property like luster, ductility and malleability. So all these parts we have discussed in our last lecture. So dear student, in today's lecture we will discuss about the crystal structure, how the crystal structures are formed. So before we start the crystal structure, we come to know about the one-dimensional structure, two-dimensional arrangement and a three-dimensional arrangement. Because a crystal structure is a three-dimensional arrangement of particles. When any one of the crystal is formed or the crystalline solid will be formed, then they arranged with the help of a three-dimensional structure, or they arranged three-dimensionally. So first of all, we come to know that what is mean by one-dimensional arrangement, what is mean by two-dimensional arrangement and what is mean by three-dimensional arrangement. So in a one-dimensional arrangement, as we know, only a one axis is present, is called as the x-axis. This is the one-dimensional arrangement. This is a one-dimensional arrangement. All the particles, they are arranged in one row, is called as a one-dimensional arrangement. In a two-dimensional arrangement, here, this is a two-dimensional arrangement. This one is a two-dimensional arrangement. Means this is a, if we consider this is a y-axis. If we consider this is which axis? Y-axis. This is only one-dimensional. This is two-dimensional structure, or these are the edges of the two-dimensional structure. Then, what is the angle between x and y axis? If we measure the angle between x and y axis, then it is equal to how many? It is equal to 90 degree. As we know, it is equal to 90 degree. But if we having a three-dimensional structure because it is an imaginary structure. If we have a three-dimensional structure, then if we draw a third axis, then what is the, or suppose this is the z-axis and this is the three-dimensional structure. Okay, this is a three-dimensional structure. Then in a two-dimensional, the angle between x and y are 90 degrees. Then what is the angle between y and z or z and x? If it looks like this angle, then it looks like a, how many? It looks like a 45 degree. But it is not 45 degree. Because in a three-dimensional structure also, the angle between xy, yz or xz, it is equal to 90 degree. If we see the corners of our walls, आपल्या घरातल्या ज्या काही भिंती असतात त्या भिंतींचा जर तुम्ही कॉर्नर बघितला तर A, Y and Z, मग तो जर तुम्ही नीट बघितला किंवा मी तुम्हाला इथे स्ट्रक्चर दाखवते, त्या स्ट्रक्चर मध्ये सपोज दिस इज अवर x axis, suppose this is our x axis and this is our y axis. This is again now, what is the angle between x and y axis? It is equal to 90 degree. This is our x axis and this is our y axis. Then if this is our z axis, दिसत असेल सगळ्यांना, हा कुठला ॲक्सिस आला आता आपला z axis. Then the angle between x, y, z and x, z, it looks like be a 45 degree, but it is not equal to 45. The arrangement of the y axis is not in this way, it is in this way. ठीक आहे, दिसते आता सगळ्यांना. तो y axis कुठे आहे? इथं आहे. म्हणजे यातला अँगल किती झाला? 90 डिग्री. यातला अँगल किती झाला? 90. and what is the angle between this? This is also 90. So this is the three-dimensional arrangement of the axis. दिसते सगळ्यांना. So this is the three-dimensional. कसंही रोटेट केला आपण त्याला तरी त्यांच्या मधला अँगल, प्रत्येक ॲक्सिस मधला अँगल किती असणार आहे? दोन ॲक्सिस मधला 90 डिग्री. So this is the three-dimensional structure. And when we study about the crystal structure, then all the crystal structure, they are the three-dimensional arrangement of the particles. And particles in the sense, as we know, they are either atom, ion or a molecule. So the crystal structure, how the crystal structure are formed? The crystal structure, they are ordered three-dimensional. Crystal structure means what? They are ordered three-dimensional arrangement of the particle in the crystal. They are the ordered three-dimensional arrangement of the particle in the crystal. And therefore, what is a crystal structure? How the crystal structure is formed? It is formed by the lattice and the basis. It is formed by the lattice and the basis, and therefore the ordered three-dimensional arrangement of a particle in a crystal is described. This is the ordered three-dimensional crystal structure. This is the ordered three-dimensional arrangement of the here particle in a crystal, and which is described with the help of these two terms called as lattice and basis. So, what is mean by lattice? What is mean by lattice? A lattice is a point arranged in a space in a three-dimensional structure. What are the lattice here? Here, lattice is a geometrical arrangement of the point in a three-dimensional periodic array. Lattice is a geometrical arrangement of a point. This is the lattice. Lattice is the geometrical arrangement of a point in a three-dimensional structure in periodic array, means in one pattern, in one row, in one column. So lattice are the three-dimensional arrangement of the points. So these are some points and they are arranged in periodical array. They are arranged in one manner. So what are the lattice? Lattice are the three-dimensional arrangement of a point in a periodic array. So what is the basis? In the basis here we have defined as the constituent particles are attached to the lattice point forms the basis of the crystal lattice. When the crystal structures are formed, then the lattice, they are attached with a point, with the particles. They are arranged, they are attached with a point, with a particles, and when the lattice, they are covered with the basis, or when they are attached with this basis, they form the whole crystal structure. So what is the basis here, or what is the lattice here? Lattice, it is the three-dimensional arrangement of the particles. Such a particles in the sense either they are atom or ion or molecules. So when the particles, they are present in a three-dimensional structure, it forms a lattice. A three-dimensional or a regular three-dimensional arrangement of the particle in a space is called as a lattice point. It is called as a lattice point. And what is the basis? Here, the basis means a crystal structure is obtained by attaching a constituent particles to each of the lattice point. So, such constituent particles that are attached to the lattice point forms the basis of the crystal structure. Means here a crystal structure is obtained by attaching the constituent particles to each of the lattice point. So here these are some lattice points, and when they are attached with some constituent particles, then they complete the crystal structure. So the basis, they are covered the lattice points and forms a crystal structure here, and therefore crystal structure is a result by attaching a basis to each of the lattice point. Crystal structure, how the crystal structure are formed? Crystal structures are formed by attaching a basis, to the lattice point. Means in this basis, when they are attached to the lattice point, it forms a whole crystal structure. We have to remember that a crystal structure, it is the three-dimensional arrangement of the particle in the form of a lattice and basis. Means when the lattice points and the basis, means the particles, comes together, they form a crystal structure. So how the crystal structure will be formed? A crystal structure is a result of attaching a basis to a lattice point. When the basis means when the particles, when they are attached to the points, then they form a whole crystal structure. So next to that, how the crystal structure are formed? The crystal structure are formed by attaching a basis to a lattice point. Then next to that, what is the basic, or what is the basic of each crystal structure? What is the basic of each crystal structure? So each crystal structure is formed by, each crystal structure is formed by a three-dimensional repeated arrangement. Therefore, a three-dimensional basic pattern means each crystal structure is formed by the three-dimensional arrangement of the point and it is called as a unit cell. It is called as a unit cell. That means crystals, they are formed with the help of a unit cell. A crystal structure, they are formed with the help of a unit cell. So this is one of the unit cell. So this is the basic of all the crystalline solids. This is the basic, smallest basic repeating unit of all crystalline solid are called as your unit cell. How we can define a unit cell? Unit cell means when the crystal structures will be formed, जेव्हा जेव्हा कुठलंही क्रिस्टल स्ट्रक्चर तयार होतं तेव्हा त्याचं बेसिक जे काय असतं त्याला आपण काय म्हणणार आहे? युनिट सेल. अँड युनिट सेल इट इज अ 3-dimensional smallest repeating unit of a crystalline solid. Means each crystalline solid will be formed by a unit cell. Here by a unit cell. So here this is one of the unit cell. So this is the 3-dimensional structure. Suppose this is the X, Y and Z axis. What is the unit cell? How we can define the unit cell? It is the smallest structural repeating unit of a crystalline solid in a 3-dimensional manner. Then, so these are the 3-dimensional structure. So when this side is called as A, this is B and this is C. So these are the 3 edges of the unit cell, and the angle between these edges, alpha, beta and gamma, they are measured 90 degree. They are measured as a 90 degree. So this is the unit cell. Means what? All the crystalline solids, they are made up of smallest basic repeating unit, and it is called as a unit cell. This is the basis, this is the basic of all the crystalline solid. Is called as a unit cell. And how the crystal structure are formed? So the points here, how many points are present here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means when the crystal structure are formed, then when the crystal structure are formed, then these unit cell, this is the one unit cell. Such a many unit cell, when they stack together, means here when they stack together, means each unit cell share its faces, edges and corner with the neighboring unit cell. How the crystal structure will be formed? This is the basic, this is the one unit cell. And when a crystal structure will be formed, then such a many unit cell, they stack together, then they shares their edges. So these are the edges of the unit cell. So these are the edges of the unit cell. Then the faces means how many faces are there? मी आता तुम्हाला मॉडेल्स काही दाखवणार त्याच्यावरून तुम्हाला लगेच समजेल. Faces, edges, faces and a corner. So how many corners are there? There are 8 corners in one unit cell. So when an entire crystal structure will be formed, then this is the basic of that entire crystal structure. And when such a unit cell, when they stack together, this is the one unit cell, second unit cell, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. So many unit cells, when they stack together, then the shells, their edges, their faces and their corner to form an entire crystal structure. And the crystal structure formed from these cubic unit cell, this is a cubic unit cell, is also a cube. म्हणजे एका स्मॉल क्यूबिक युनिट सेल अशा अनेक क्यूबिक युनिट सेल एकत्र आल्यानंतर जे काही क्रिस्टल स्ट्रक्चर तयार होईल त्याचाही शेप ते सुद्धा क्रिस्टल स्ट्रक्चर हे कसं असणार आहे, क्यूबच असणार आहे. लक्षात येतंय? सो व्हॉट इज द बेसिक ऑफ ऑल द क्रिस्टलाइन सॉलिड? इट इज अ युनिट सेल. If it is a cubic unit cell, then it forms a cubic crystal structure. Then it forms a cubic crystal structure. So here we have a models. So this is the model. Wait a minute. This is the model of cubic unit cell. So एकच मिनिट मी दिसते का तुम्हाला बघते सगळं? ओके. So this is the model of a cubic unit cell. So this is the cube. दिसतोय सगळ्यांना? हा काय आहे? Cube. So how many faces are present for these cube faces? 1, opposite 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So for the one cubic unit cell, how many faces are there? There are 6 phases for these one cubic unit cell. So how many corners are present for the one cubic unit cell? For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So how many corners are present for the cubic unit cell? There are how many corners? There are 8 corners present for one cubic cell. How many corners? 8 corners. And how many edges? Edges means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So how many edges are present here? So here the 12 edges are present. And when the entire crystal structure it will be formed, then such a many cubic unit cell they stacked one another. Then ह्याच्यावरती खाली बाजूला इकडे तिकडे सगळीकडे अशा जर युनिट सेल आपण जोडल्या तर तेव्हा आपल्याला काय तयार होताना दिसेल? क्रिस्टल स्ट्रक्चर. म्हणजे हे फक्त एक युनिट सेल आहे. अशा अनेक युनिट सेल एकावरती एक ठेवल्या म्हणजे ते त्यांचं काय काय शेअर करतील? फेसेस शेअर करतील, एजेस शेअर करतील आणि कॉर्नर शेअर करतील. देन दे फॉर्म अ एंटायर क्रिस्टल स्ट्रक्चर. सो आर यू गेटिंग ऑल ऑफ यू? दिस इज द वन cubic unit cell. They are having how many corners? They are having 8 corners. How many faces? They are having 6 faces. And how many edges? They are having 12 edges. So this is the one cubic unit cell. Are you understand all of you? So next to that, here we have seen the types of a unit cell. Types of a unit cell. So there are 4 types of a unit cell. Types of unit cell. The first one is primitive. Primitive, or it is called as a simple cubic unit cell. The first type is primitive or simple cubic unit cell. The second one is a body centered cubic unit cell. The second one is body centered unit cell. Second one is a body centered unit cell. Body centered unit cell. The third one is face-centered. Face-centered unit cell. And the fourth one is, the first one is primitive or simple unit cell. Second, body-centered unit cell. Third one, face-centered unit cell. And the fourth one is base-centered. Base-centered unit cell. So dear student, here what are the types of unit cell, or there are how many types of unit cell? There are 4 types of unit cell. In that, the first one is primitive or simple unit cell. Second is body-centered unit cell. The third one is face-centered unit cell. And the fourth one is base-centered unit cell. So dear student, in today's lecture, what we have to learn? First one, what is mean by lattice, what is mean by basis, and how the crystal structure are formed. Then what is mean by unit cell? It is the smallest repeating structural unit of a crystalline solid. And there are 4 types of unit cell: simple unit cell, body-centered unit cell, face-centered unit cell, and base-centered unit cell. So up to this we have completed in this lecture. So what is mean by body-centered, what is mean by face-centered, what is mean by simple unit cell, all they are we are showing with the help of some models. खूप सोपं आहे, मॉडेल्स आहे, मॉडेलच्या सहाय्याने तुम्हाला हे खूप सोपं जाणार आहे. आजच्या लेक्चरमध्ये आपण इथंच थांबूया. पुढच्या लेक्चरमध्ये आपण याचं डिस्क्रिप्शन बघूया. थँक्यू.